This has been a political football. I was personally attacked by your organization pretty significantly on this issue, notwithstanding the fact that I had spoken to you directly. I promised I would vote to reinstate it, and as more of a political statement, back in June, you guys intentionally pulled the bill and forwent the funding at that time so that you had something political that you could go after the women in my caucus on, which was reprehensible. Notwithstanding that, I'm here with an open mind, but I want to ask you specific questions because I've been asking these questions for a year and I've never gotten the answer to them. So one, in the event that this money was reinstated, do you have a budget and an exact breakdown of where the money's going?
So right now we're working with our partners at the grantor, the Family Planning Association, to figure out where the needs are greatest and where this funding should go once it is reinstated.
So there is no budget?
We are working on it right now.
Okay. What is the annual revenue of Planned Parenthood in the U.S.?
I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's over $1 billion. I think it's $1.4 billion per year. The cut that got made in New Jersey 8 years ago, because you referenced the New Jersey state budget, is less than 0.45% of the total annual revenue of Planned Parenthood. You're aware of that, correct?
I will take your word for it at this point. I would have to look into it.
Do you know what the annual revenue of Planned Parenthood in New Jersey is?
I don't.
Okay, so what I'd like to receive from your organization is the revenue pre the enactment of ACA, the revenue post-ACA, the annual revenue in New Jersey, the annual revenue in the U.S. Do you know what the average executive wages in New Jersey are?
No, I don't know, but I can certainly look into it for you.
And the annual executive wages in the U.S.?
I don't, but I like I said, I can certainly look into those for you.
Would it surprise you that in the 2-year period prior to 2018, there was an across-the-board 20% increase in executive salaries that represented, on average, over $300,000 per year?
Would it surprise me?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I would have to look and confirm that information.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, pre-ACA and post-ACA is also what you're looking for?
Yeah.
Can I respond to that
Yes.
as well? Many of Planned Parenthood patients do not have private insurance, so most of our patients use either Medicaid or are self-pay, just so that you're aware.
Yeah, but there was significant increases under the ACA in Medicaid.
Of course, absolutely. There have been more people covered as a result of the ACA. I just want you to know that many of our patients are self-pay.
Okay, but there was significant increases to Planned Parenthood under the ACA as well on the federal level with respect to the amount of reimbursements that Planned Parenthood as a national organization got over the past 5-6 years.
I understand that. However, the funding from Medicaid is not sufficient to serve all of the patients who need this care in New Jersey.
Right, and that's why I'm asking, rather than talking points, look, we have a lot of phenomenal organizations in this state that approach us for funding. The amount of money that you guys want is more than every school in the district that I represent gets for school funding per year. We have organizations that are doing a whole multitude of things, whether or not it's pediatric cancer stuff. No, and I think it's fair to ask.
The chair will make those determinations. I'd like you, and I've given you a lot of leeway, to sort of stick to the issue of this appropriation for family planning services, and whether or not you think that this appropriation is appropriate to the purposes for which this appropriation is designed. And I'm not sure there is much room to move beyond that topic, because I don't believe the bill goes beyond that.
I'm specifically asking questions with respect to the appropriateness of putting $7.45 million in, where it's going, what the revenue has been. we're hearing that there have been negative consequences.
Yes,
clinics
there
have closed. That cancer care funding has been cut, STD funding.
Well, cancer care funding has the screening for cancer has been cut. The family planning. There are agencies who receive this money who do a lot of cancer screening, and to the extent that that money has been cut, and it has been, because of the policies of the previous administration, and I've seen this in my own practice, that we have people who have found that they have less access to screening for breast cancer, for cancer in the reproductive health area, and so which shouldn't surprise anyone. If you spend less doing a thing, don't be surprised if less of those important things get done.
And that's why I'm asking these specific questions, because during that same period of time, we had the ACA, we had expansion of Medicare, we had additional monies that came, we had an increase to $12 million for cancer screening alone, which is in this current budget. We have $4.3 million that's specifically allocated solely to STD screenings. So I'm just trying to, jive the fact that there has been an increase in funding in a whole multitude of areas during the same period of time, but yet hearing that, it's caused these significant issues. I'm just trying to get the data to substantiate that.
But you'll understand that people get care in venues where that they know, that are close to their home, where they have established relationships with providers. And so while there may have been increases in these other areas, it doesn't mean that there are significant pockets of need that did not receive this funding and the care that flows therefrom.
Right, but we're not talking about a small little local organization. We're talking about $1 billion entity.
Nationwide?
Or
in New Jersey?
May I just, there are...
Because we're trying to change New Jersey policy here, and you've mentioned the national organization several times here, but this bill speaks to an appropriation here in New Jersey affecting New Jersey residents.
Right, and there was no data or information that could be provided on the New Jersey portion or the national. So I'm just trying to understand. We're making an appropriation of a very specific appropriation where I'm just trying to understand, one, where that money will be going, two, what the actual impact has been during that period of time. These questions are more than relevant. They're very fair. And it's information I've been trying to get for close to a year. So,
Do you have
does everybody want to ensure that women have appropriate health care? Yes, there's not a single human being who I know of who doesn't want that.
Well, I don't know. I think we had one sitting in the governor's office for 8 years, because otherwise we wouldn't be sitting here doing that today, dealing with this appropriation today. We wouldn't have vote after vote after vote trying to get this appropriation line item restored, and having that rejected in the front office and not supported by many people, and I have to say on your side of the aisle, who refuse to stand up and say, no, in New Jersey we're going to have to extend these services to people.
Well, that's why I'm trying to find out what this correlates to. Okay, because why 7.54? Why not 27? Why not 50 million? We have to make tough decisions. Absolutely.
And we make them all the time, and across many aspects of the budget, related to public safety and health, related to the environment, related to schooling. We do that all the time. Right. As you well know, we have limited resources. We do what we are able to do. We work with our federal partners, and we appropriate money. Right. Now, but many people will say, I'm not done. Many people will say that is not enough. And I'm sure they are right in many circumstances, but we have limitations. We all live with them. So if your argument is we're not spending, that we need to spend more, I look forward to the bill. If your argument is that you think we should spend less, you then go ahead and vote no.
I'm just trying to understand where this number correlates to in 2018. Okay, in light of increases that came under ACA, in light of a whole multitude of things, in light of how at the national level, it is a parent company. They've been doing well with respect to reimbursements, and significantly more so than 8 years ago. I am trying to understand, if we had a hospital sitting here today asking us for $7.54 million, we would be delving down into exactly where that money was going to. So that's what I'm trying to ascertain.
Family planning services. Family Planning Services. Do you want to respond? Do you have anything, or am I doing okay on my own?
You're fine, Chairman.
We have other people.
But
you
if
can
it
come
was
back.
that important, how can the head not be able to explain any of these basic items? If it wasn't just a political football, if it was that important to women's health, how do we not have these answers?